Welcome to Who Are You, a CSI podcast. I'm Raven, and I've seen CSI through and through around 3 to 4 times.
And I'm Nick, and this is my first time experiencing these episodes.
And today we are reviewing Season 4, Episode 22, No More Bets. Original air date May 13th, 2004. Director Richard J. Lewis. Writers Anthony E. Zeiker, Noreen Shankar, and Carol Mendelsohn. And we start today's episode a lot more normally with shots of the Vegas trip. So before we continue, Nick, what is our Vegas score for today's episode?
Pretty high Vegas.
Okay, I was like, it better be. Especially when I was doing my rewatch, I was like, this better be a high Vegas score episode.
I don't think I counted. Let's see how many scenes there. Let's see. There's not 9 total scenes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of different seconds. There's also I gave 6 total bonus points for
the casino vibes
Vegas-y thing. Actually, I was on my rewatch. I was like tenting. I think I'm going to give a few extra points right now because one of the scene locales being the neon sign graveyard.
Yes.
One of the things you can tell is they definitely shot on location for a lot of the scenes in this episode.
Yes. Yeah. It's not like green screen or like.
Yeah. I don't think that was a fake neon sign graveyard. I think they went to the actual one.
Yeah.
And so that'll bring us up to 47.
Ooh.
Which is pretty high.
That's pretty high.
Max out of 55. I think we did have some like episode this season that maxed out, but most of our episodes have been like the high teens to the 20s, and so getting up to the 40s is pretty
it's pretty significant.
Yeah, so very Vegas-y themed, as we sort of alluded to. There's casino shots, there's other locations. Overall, certainly of extremely not just like Vegas-y plotline, but old school Vegas.
Yes.
You know, which I think is like, you know, if you watch this episode and they never said the word Las Vegas out loud, you would absolutely know this show is taking place.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They wouldn't have to drop the name for you to know where this is happening.
If you watch an 85-minute stretch of this episode.
Yes. Yeah. Just in case you forgot, we're going to remind you yet again. So speaking of old time Vegas, we go from shots of the Vegas Strip to an interrogation, but not at police headquarters.
Correct.
We'll find out exactly where this is later, but you can tell that this isn't at a police headquarters. And there's like 2 shadowy figures talking to a very nervous younger man. And they're telling him how they deal with chumps like him.
I feel like the iconic like light in your face.
Yep.
Although I always like think back to like Dick Tracy.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a little bit Dick Tracy-ish.
But that is like that mobbiness.
Yes.
Is again old school Vegas.
Yeah, and using words like chumps.
Yeah.
Like, let us show you how we deal with chumps like you. And then we see said blonde person who is being interrogated dead on a neon sign in the neon graveyard. Jim Brass, Grissom, and Catherine are there. They find it strange that he's wearing a wig and a fat suit. They're like, it's a bit peculiar. But he's sporting a Rolex on his wrist. Mm-hmm. So they're like, maybe robbery is not a factor here, because why wouldn't someone grab his like shiny Rolex if that's the case? We pop over to credits. We come back to the scene. Grissom, Catherine's still there. Now David is there as well. Catherine gets a call from Jim Brass, and the ID that the victim had on them is fake. So they're still trying to figure out who this victim is because they had a fake ID on them.
He also had cash in his wallet, which wasn't a lot. It was like $20 or something.
Yeah.
But like, I think that is actually weird. It's almost more of like a hint, if anything else, in that all of his money went into gambling.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the they're insinuating that he was cheating.
Yes.
In a casino. Like, you know, they're asking him like how he did it or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they say in that first scene, $400,000.
They might.
Either that or it's like another, when they go back to another flashback of that scene, because I think we're about to find out.
We're about to find out. So they're wondering, so he has bullet wounds to his head. So they're like, oh, is this a professional hit? Like, this seems like up close and personal. He also has lacerations on his hand. They take a sample of the gravel and like crushed glass. Grissom then finds a ticket from the Rampart in the victim's pants or jacket and he won a lot of money from
Yeah,
the
you can see that
Rampart.
it's 437,000 or something.
Yeah, like a significant amount of money.
We did gloss over Grissom's amazing pun in the
Oh,
opening
okay, yes.
credits.
Let's revisit.
It was they're asking like the motive or something, and
Oh,
he
and
goes,
he's
"There's
like,
no
I'm looking
great
for a sign.
sign graveyard. It's like nothing but neon signs as far as I can see." He says, "I don't know. I'm still looking for a sign."
Still looking for a sign.
I want to bring that up
Ba-da-da.
because Warwick has a equally cheesy line later,
Okay,
and I was like, I feel like it's maybe the first time we've had like a double
a
super
double ba
cheesy
ba
line.
ba.
Yeah.
I like it. Catherine finds tire treads at the scene, and soon after, she is off the case because the ticket is from the Rampart, which is one of Braun's casinos, and Grissom fairly is like, you can't work a case that has potential ties to your father.
And the
Like,
sign the guy is next to is like an old casino that her father also used to own.
yeah. So
Maybe
he's like,
unfortunately.
so she's like pretty teed off about this, but Grissom is like, I'm sorry, like you can't.
Yeah.
And I gotta, as much as we are ones to say that Grissom is oftentimes not a great boss, this is the right call.
Absolutely.
This is 100% the right call. Like this one, I'm entirely on Grissom's
Catherine
side.
should know better,
Yeah,
especially after what happened with the last case. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then they like throw it out because of her.
Was that the last case?
Remember, because she was like going into the courthouse and he was leaving.
Yes. Yeah. The reason that he
They didn't
that he
get him
walked
to
on his
her.
murder case was because they had to throw away some of the evidence because she used his blood to
Yeah.
run a paternity test.
So it's like super sensitive situation.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. So I'm on Grissom's side on this one. We then go to Sarah and Warwick. They are collecting evidence off of the dead body, but now back in the morgue. David is there as well. And the Rolex that he's wearing is real and new. So they're like, okay, like this isn't some like random knockoff. This is like a legitimate Rolex. And as David is also helping to kind of like, prepare the body for autopsy, he finds that the victim was wearing air-conditioned socks.
He calls them air conditioned
He
socks.
calls them
There's like
air-conditioned
3
socks.
holes in them, right?
They just have holes in them. So then Grissom and Jim Brass are at the casino, at the Rampart, at Braun's casino. And Jim Brass is saying that he talked to like the pit boss, and the boss remembers like this guy. Braun walks up and he's just like, yeah, that fat kid was cheating. He's just like, yep. And he goes, look, I talked to him, but I didn't kill him. Like I took him to the quote unquote the box. So Braun escorts Jim Brass and Grissom to like where they interrogated him. Grissom, of course, is like, this smells very clean. Like, smells like your cleaning crew just left. Like, that's convenient. And Braun is like, look, like, I have a camera in this room. So, like, anything you want to see from our talk, you can see. Like,
never review that with us.
They never review that with us.
That bothered me a little bit. It bothered me kind of on the like he makes the notion, yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know if it got cut or it just needed like a one line where somebody is like, yeah, we watched the tape. The kid was in there for 52 minutes, and yeah, they just.
So the only reference they make to the tape later is not really about the tape.
It's about where the camera is concerned.
Yeah, it's about like what you did outside of the view of the camera. Yeah. Like that's really like their only reference is they're like, oh, you waited until he was no longer in view of the camera to like do the next thing. That's like really the only time they mention it.
Yeah, but you almost needed to like check that box. It would have been a few seconds. I agree. We had enough seconds in Vegas shots they could have.
I know, but
they could have worked that into
They opted not to. They opted
in a
to
scene and they couldn't. They didn't reshoot it or whatever.
But. Yeah. So Braun is just saying, like, look, I just wanted to know how he was cheating. Like, that's what was important to me, was to find out how he was cheating. We didn't know how he was cheating. And so as they continue talking, Braun is looking at Grissom and is like, is why you're really mad because Catherine cashed the check?
Because I got away with murder or Catherine.
Yeah, or because Catherine cashed the checks. And he's like, and Braun's like, that was given no strings attached. Grissom's like, you don't have to see the strings for them to be there.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna like lead to him finding a piece of evidence like immediately after.
No,
that would have been really cool, and he doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't lead to that.
But he is like searching. He's searching for blood.
He is searching.
But I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Instead, we go to Warwick with Doc Robbins, and there are bruises on the victim's feet that match where the holes are in the socks. And he also pulled projectiles from the victim's brain. They appear to be from a 22 caliber gun. And they're also wondering, was a ball peen hammer taken to his hands, which is, from what we learn here, and then it's reiterated several times throughout this episode, was kind of like the first strike if you were caught cheating in a casino.
Yeah, they rough you up, smash your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. We then cut to Warwick processing the shoes. He finds an electronic piece, essentially, in the sole of the shoe, like in the bottom of the shoe. So Warwick and Grissom have a little walk and talk, and Warwick is explaining that he found this like wireless receiver in the shoe. Grissom says, well, then there must be like a transmitter, right? If there's a receiver, there has to be like the other end of this communication. Sarah joins the walk and talk. This is where we learn that the victim is Teddy Keller, because while he used a fake ID for the gambling, he put his real name down for the Rolex.
Yep.
So
Sarah's line here,
it's so ridiculous.
It made me, along with a bunch of other things, made me check the writers. I thought there was gonna be like some guest writer in this episode.
No, it's all standard writers.
Normal people.
All normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was so. Some of the phrases in this episode are so weird.
Yeah.
Maybe the director, maybe they were doing some improv. I don't know.
But it's a regular director too.
Yeah, it's like nothing abnormal.
No, nothing abnormal. So Sarah gets the address from IDing the victim. So this brings us to a landlord walking Warwick and Jim Brass to Teddy's apartment. And the thing that he seems most to harp on is like how much pizza and calzones they order.
Yeah.
He's really stuck on this for reasons that they really never explain. But they go into the apartment. It's like freezing.
They don't explain in this episode.
Yeah. They go in the apartment. It's freezing in the apartment. And then there's also a roulette wheel, like a regulation roulette wheel in the apartment. Like high quality. Yeah. And so Warwick is like, kind of looks like these guys were like figuring something out, maybe at a system. As they continue to look through the apartment, look at that, Jim Brass realizes or finds the roommate dead in the bedroom. So then we have Warwick and David with the roommate. He is also dead because of 2 gunshots to the head. So this is starting to look like this is connected to the roommate being found in the neon graveyard.
We have the Doc Robbins the autopsy, right, for the first victim already. Right?
We already had that, yep.
Yeah, and he talks about like, whether like they sort of allude like 2 shots back at the head.
Yep.
This caliber, the bullet bounces around in the brain, make sure it kills the guy. It's up close and personal. It's like very sort of like a personal little hit thing. And then we basically have the same thing with the second person.
Yep. And as they're examining, they also find a white mark on the victim's shoulder. And Jim Brass finds another electronic receiver, but this one has a print on it. So we also have...
It's weird that it's like printed, and then I realized it was the paint.
It was the paint. Yeah.
Yeah, which they have the white thing, same white thing. Yeah. Well, they kind of like don't quite explain that straight up, that it's the same substance.
No, they don't.
But they kind of like explain it enough for you to figure it out later.
Yeah. Yeah. Grissom is also at the apartment complex, and he is following some crushed glass. So he takes a sample of it. We then have Catherine with her boyfriend. She has a night off unexpectedly, so she's out and about.
We haven't seen this guy for a while.
We haven't seen this guy for a while. She's out and about with the boyfriend. Braun walks up, and man, does her boyfriend fawn over him. He is just like, oh my gosh, Mr. Braun.
Oh, it's a big deal.
I know.
And he's kind of involved in the scene around town of like clubs and stuff. And, but I think it was actually really a fun part of the scene.
I thought it was too. I just had to comment that he just like
how Catherine really feels about it.
No, he does not. So Catherine steps aside to talk with Sam Braun. He is adamant that he did not kill those kids. And Catherine's like, what do you mean kids? How do you know that there's more than one? Because when they talked to Braun, it was only the one that they were questioning him about. So she's like, how do you know that it's more than one? And then
I feel like that would have made the news. It doesn't seem that far-fetched.
Yeah, but before he leaves, Braun also has to get in you're not impressing her to the boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's a little bit of a jab there, Braun. Like, just met this guy. But he leaves, gets into his stretch limo.
His inevitable murder.
Yeah.
where they also investigate. Bro.
We have Hodges and Grissom with the glass that Grissom collected at the apartment complex, and it is also, in fact, neon glass, and it connects the two crime scenes. So now they know, like, they already fairly knew, but now they have like evidence that links the two crime scenes together. We go to Nick and Sarah. They're in the locker room. And this is where we learn that even though Grissom recommended Nick for the promotion, he's not getting the promotion because the budget could only cover either the promotion or a robot, and the robot won, which I feel you, Nick. That's kind of where a lot of us in the tech field are right now. The budget is either for you or AI, and guess who's winning? It's not you, because we have to pay health insurance on you.
Obviously, Nick is not really aware, right, that Sarah also is...
No, and Sarah is noticeably upset about this. Nick is blissfully unaware.
One of the biggest gaps, I think, plot-wise in this entire show, harkening back to the first seasons, right? Like in the first season, you've got Nick and Warwick competing to be a CSI 3 or whatever, right?
Yes. Yep.
And Nick gets the promotion.
Yeah.
Right. And then, the I forget her name, the poor young CSI who dies.
Oh, yeah.
The Holly Gibbs.
Yep.
And so Grissom's like, I'm bringing somebody in who's experienced. And so I have always put Catherine at the level, or Sarah at the level of like Catherine, almost like closer to that.
Yeah.
Where Nick and Work are like the younger CSIs, and Work always, I think, is a little bit more experienced seeming than Nick was at the beginning.
Yeah.
By now they're kind of evened out. It's almost like, what is this position? Like, is this like multiple steps for Nick? Was like, why was Sarah really at that level? It's like they kind of like ignored that so they could do the tension piece between Sarah and somebody else. I thought that was it bothers me because, like, I think watching the show in such a condensed amount of time, season after season,
yeah,
it stands out more than
it does
it would for most people.
Yes.
And it's just like, they just kind of like decided these guys were all in one bucket.
Yeah.
And like, that's not really the way they pitched it initially, because they needed that tension in order to have this story.
Yeah, to have this storyline happen. They definitely, when they first started airing the show, was not writing it knowing that it was going to be binged.
Yes.
Right? Like that was the normal way that people were going to consume.
Sure. They would never even imagined that was happening, except by people with a really deep pockets to buy
the DVDs.
The 5-season DVD box set.
Yes, exactly. So we then have Work and Grissom, and they're and Work is like, look, like, I've seen a lot of ways like that people have beat the house, but never using toes. Like, this is a new one for me. And then they start having a discussion about how, when it came to the roulette wheel, that they were using physics to beat the wheel, like to basically to be able to try to estimate where the ball was going to stop.
All right,
on the spin.
With Nick moment here.
Let's do it.
This is the most ridiculous idea ever. And
because there's so many variables. Like, there's so many variables.
So in mathematics and science, we have this thing we call chaos theory, right?
Yeah.
There's some very famous problems, one of which is like the 3-body problem or the 3-pendulum problem. In some ways, like, the people are probably more familiar with something like the butterfly effect. It's the same reason why it's hard to predict weather. There are so many little things, variables, that change from the friction at different points in a wheel to, the atmosphere, to like sort of the random chance of things bounce. It's why, like, rolling a die is like, if I throw a die and it goes far enough, it's functionally random. You can't predict it.
Right.
There's too many variables. I think most people have encountered a Plinko board in their life, whether from watching what's the Price is Right or something else.
Yeah.
Or like, and a lot of people have used them in, like, fairs and things. If you take that disc and you put it in the exact, you mark it off, you put the exact same spot and you drop it, sometimes it's going to go all the way to the left, sometimes it's going to go all the way to the right, sometimes it's going to land in the middle.
Yeah.
It's because those tiny little things change the system so much that they accumulate and they expound on each other and go crazy. You'd never ever be able to predict where the ball is going to go until you're like well beyond the point where betting has been called off.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they
yeah.
do let like the ball go around and around and around, but before it drops off the side, usually betting is called off in a
Yeah.
roulette game. And so like where it falls off, it's just like you can't do it. There's not enough precise measurements in the universe. But yeah, I it's the premise. It's the we had a really good computer science is magic thing a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
This is the funky one, but I was just like I gotta take a moment to say how impossible this is. But they play it. But if you assume it's possible, because I think computers are new and they're for a lot of people at this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
time and they're doing crazy things and stuff. But yeah, it's I think a casino would let you sit there with a stopwatch. I mean, they wouldn't let you, but like
No, no, no.
they
Definitely
wouldn't be
not.
worried.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
wouldn't be worried if the robot that beat Ken Jennings in Jeopardy was trying to guess at a roulette wheel.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is not going to make billions at the roulette wheel.
No. No. No.
It does not have the skills.
But in this episode, it works. And it works, as we learn, because Nick enters and the print from the electrical receiver belongs to Seth Landers, who is studying electrical engineering. So they're like, we found like our transmitter, we found our other guy. So this brings Nick and Jim Brass to a campus. They like go to his dorm, he's not there. They're like, all right, we gotta like put out an APB for him. They happen to like see a kid getting on a bike. They're like, oh, hey, do you know who Seth Landers is? And kid takes off. So they go.
Just happens to be Seth Landers.
Just happens to be Seth Landers. So they go running after him. Nick grabs him and he's screaming like, don't kill me, don't kill me. They kind of like spin him, like, handcuff him, go to take him in. And this is mine, and I assume Nick's spot. The gift star.
All right. I want you to say who this is, where you know them from, and then I want to tell you what I think will be a hilarious aside to this.
So this is Eddie K. Thomas, who plays Seth Landers in this episode, and I know him as Finch from American Pie.
So I saw this kid, and I was like, oh, I know who that guy is. He plays this character named Toby Curtis on Scorpion. He's in 93 episodes. He's the main cast character. It's this old like TV show. In a lot of ways, this character is not even has an obsession with gambling, which is kind of funny, I think, and not even that different from this character here.
Okay.
And I went and I looked at it, and I saw on his IMDb known as Finch from American Pie. I went, oh yeah, that is also Finch from American Pie. And I went, I don't know if I ever put two to two together when I was watching Scorpion. I used to watch.
Oh, that he was in.
That was Finch, and I think I did, and it just like I watched that show for enough seasons that like I kind of like forgot about it. It wasn't important or novel, but like the memory that I got when he spoke, when I saw his face, was not this character from American Pie. It was this character from Scorpion, and when I saw that, I went, oh yeah. But even then, the characters aren't really that. Like his mannerisms, the way he is, he's kind of been typecast.
Yeah.
And then I forgot he was in the Hank Green movie, or no, Tom Green movie, Road Trip.
Oh, I never saw that.
He's like also a decent bit part in that, which I've also seen. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. Like I actually think because Tara spotted him as a spot the guest star from across the room.
Oh, funny.
She's like, that's the guy from American Pie. I went, yes, it is.
You're like, indeed.
She's like, what's that other thing he was in? I was like, yes, please tell me what other movie you think you know him from. And she was going, she's like, I can't remember. I was like, he's in 93 episodes of the show Scorpion. She's like, oh yeah, that's what it is. I was like, yes. Yeah, that was a weird, I forget what network that was on, but that was like a weird.
I was gonna say, I never saw that one.
The main actress in that is Catherine McPhee, who was originally an American Idol winner.
Oh.
Singer-songwriter.
Okay.
She became a thing. Yeah, that was a weird Sunday night show.
Yeah.
I think, or Monday night show. It was kind of not a busy night.
Yeah.
So it was on long enough to not get canceled. It was never great. But
Yeah.
It was very like serial drama.
Okay. Yeah. So we then have Jim Brass and work with Seth in interrogation, and he's like, look, the victims came to me. Like they asked for my help. I kind of like sort of like the brain, like, the brains part of this operation. And they're talking about how all of the casinos that Seth and his kind of buddies here hit up were all Sam Braun's casinos. And Seth at this point is saying it is because he has like they're older casinos, they're lower tech, there's like less interference for his like transmitters. We then cut to Grissom dialing a phone with his toast. Catherine enters And Fairly is like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening here? And once they get that out of the way, she's like, hey.
Do you feel like they didn't do a good job explaining what the heck he was doing?
He said that he was working his toe dexterity.
I think they were trying to, I think they cut another thing out here where they were trying to show that the guy with the thing on his foot couldn't have been like signaling the computer.
Yeah, it had to be the computer to him.
They had to have the other guy who was signaling the computer, and then he was just receiving the thing because he couldn't do it with his feet. But like, this is one of the things when the rewatch where I was like, I almost forgot about this scene.
Because they spend like,
what the heck he's doing.
They spend like 5 seconds on it and then move right on past it.
Yeah. It's like, it's so weird.
But Catherine is there to tell him about the fact that Braun is driven around now. And he is driven around in a stretch limo. And Grissom's like, great, but you can't be working this case. And she's like, okay, but you can get a warrant because like your character's not in question.
Yes.
And evidently he does, because the very next scene is him and Sarah processing said stretch limo. And this is where Sarah brings up like, hey, found out that you recommended Nick for that promotion. We'll come right back around to that. Before we do,
did she say that line like, I thought you didn't have a problem with me or something?
That's going to happen in just a second. There's like a few
like
she brings up the recommendation and he's just kind of like, yep, I did. And then she finds like possible neon glass fragments in the tire treads. And then they start investigating inside of the limo. And that's when Sarah says, I thought you said like you didn't have a problem with me. And Grissom's like, I don't. Like, I just thought, Nick was better for the job. And she's kind of like, why? And she says afterwards that she thinks his reasoning is stupid. And I agree. His reasoning is that Nick, the reason he recommended Nick was because Nick didn't care about the job or not.
Whether he got the job or not. Which I am 100% on Sarah's side.
That is a stupid. If that's
the dumbest reason.
If that is your only reason, that's it.
I think it's a bad reason if it's your only reason.
I think it's a bad reason too.
Like the reason why you might think that's good is because somebody else wants it for the wrong reasons. But like, that's not the same thing.
That's not the same thing. Because here's the thing. Sometimes, and I say this as someone who managed people for several years, sometimes people don't want to be promoted.
Yeah.
Some people are happy in the roles that they're in and like the workload they have and what is expected of them. And they don't necessarily want to move up.
Tell me about it.
And I shouldn't promote you only because you don't care about being promoted or not.
Yeah. In fact, you should care about being promoted.
You should.
I'm going to promote you.
Right. Because I don't want to promote somebody who's like, I don't really want additional workload right now. Or, you know what I mean? Like, or sort of what happened with me. Like, oh, now I have to manage people and I don't particularly have managing people, but that's what's being like thrust upon me. Okay, great. I guess I'm going to go ahead and manage people then. I agree with Sarah. I think this is dumb. I just gave Grissom kudos earlier in the episode for like pulling Catherine from the case. That was the right decision. I agree with Sarah on this one. Wrong decision, Grissom. Stupid.
It's a bad decision.
Yep. But he basically like ignores this and just continues processing the limo and finds blood.
I was trying to tie this back to the guy who was like, you're gonna be replaced one day.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was like what? 1 episode ago? 2 episodes
I
ago?
wanted his answer to be more along the lines of like, I think Nick is, and maybe he doesn't say it to Sarah or he says it to somebody else. Like Catherine calls him on his bull crap.
Yeah.
And he was like, the real reason is because Nick is going to be the person who's going to take over from you one day.
Yeah.
Or something, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I need to get him into a position where he learns to start doing that.
Right. No, but said it's because Nick doesn't care if he gets promoted or not, which, again, I agree with Sarah. Stupid. We go to Warwick and Jim Brass. They arrest Braun in one of his casinos, and I do like when Jim Brass is being a little sassy. And Jim Brass is like, I parked out front, aka we have to, like, strut you through the entire casino in handcuffs.
I feel like I'm on my diatribe limit, but I had this, like, runaway thought earlier. It started with, it's so punk of him, and I was like, well, like Braun is the kind of guy where like this could come back to hit you in the butt. But like,
yeah,
remember Jim Brass used to be like a much more fancy slot. He kind of got demoted
He did kind of get
to be in the
demoted into like,
CSI, and
yeah.
then I went this runaway tangent with like, actually, since basically for some reason the CSI interrogate every single suspect, and there's never a detective
Yeah, there a
involved.
detective involved.
Being the captain of the CSI is actually a way more glorious job than being, because like how many homicide detectives have you really encountered
Right. Yeah,
in
almost none.
100 episodes of CSI?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
few.
Very few. We then have Grissom and Jim Brass with Braun and his lawyer, obviously, because of course Sam Braun is going to have a lawyer in interrogation. And the lawyer's like, what evidence do you have? And Grissom says, we have the neon glass, which the lawyer fairly is like, that's everywhere. Like, we're in Vegas. There's neon glass everywhere. And Grissom's like, fair. Like, maybe that's not, the nail in the coffin here. What probably is worse is the victim's blood is in Sam Braun's limo. So that one a little harder to explain away.
And to their credit, they just don't.
They just don't.
They never explain it the entire.
Well, no. He does say, Braun says that he doesn't really explain the blood, but he explains that he gave the kid a ride home.
Yeah.
And this is where the whole like, okay, so you beat him up like outside of the camera then?
And
like
drove him to the place where he was murdered.
Yeah. So
because they actually also never really, I think they allude to this later. There's a lot of these like phantom cars over these tire track shots.
Yes.
And they sort of like switch the car out or whatever. I think you're supposed to think that Sam Braun really did drive him to the neon sign graveyard.
No, he did.
Because he does also get the money back from the kid. Because I think the lawyer says like, oh yeah, the kid decided to return
give him the money back. Yeah.
So, like,
out of like an act of good faith or something.
Yeah, they never really answer exactly what happened there. Like there's a lot of like reenactment shots, and you're like, is that what really happened or whatever?
I think Braun dropped him off at the neon graveyard.
But did Braun smash his knuckles?
No. I'll explain. They show what happens to his knuckles.
Yes, so. Yeah. That's what I mean. The final reenactment, they give an answer, and I'm just like, am I supposed to believe this one? Because
I think you're supposed to. I do think you're supposed to believe the final one. But before we get there, we have Warwick back at the casino. He's scanning frequencies. We then have Hodges and Warwick, and we learn that the white mark on the victim found in the apartment is paint, Navajo white to be specific. Warwick then goes over to Grissom. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sherman Williams.
Yep.
Matte finish.
Yep. Warwick then goes over to Grissom, and he's like, Seth's story doesn't make any sense. The Rampart is like a mess of interference. Like, these older casinos are worse than the newer casinos would be. Like, if interference is really what they're trying to avoid, then they should have went to the newer casinos. So now they're thinking like, okay, so did they intentionally target Sam Braun's casinos? Like, was this personal? Now that this kind of like interference thing is taken off the table, we learn through Warwick's discovery that Seth's dad is the landlord. So
the guy we've already met.
The guy we already met.
Is he really?
I just say landlord. I don't know. Yeah. I just labeled him landlord.
Building supervisor guy. Because he's not like rich.
No, but he has like, yeah, so maybe he's like the groundskeeper or something. Yeah, exactly. I just put landlord down. So Jim Brass and Warwick go talk to him at like a convenience store that happens to have slots in it. He's like playing the slots. And
it's also very Vegas-y, by the way.
Very Vegas-y. There's slots everywhere in Vegas. Yeah. It's weird. He readily admits that Seth is his son. He's like, yep, like that's my kid. And they're asking about an injury to his hand. And we want to note that the initial victim has an injury to his hand. And so Mr. Green here has an injury to his hand. He does not want to talk about it. He's very sensitive about this. They then put Braun and Mr. Green together, like sitting near each other in HQ. And Jim Brass and Grissom are like peering in as this is going on. And they purposely, when they come to get Mr. Green, because Braun is kind of looking at him like, do I know you? Like, kind of like having a moment of being like, maybe I know you. And Mr. Green is like just glaring at him, but acting like he doesn't know who he is. And they very purposely, when they come to get Mr. Green, are like, oh, is it Mr. Green or Mr. Landry?
Landers, yeah.
And he goes, it's Green. And this is when Sam Braun realizes who he is and is like, oh, hey, does like your hand hurt when it rains?
Yeah.
Jim Brass is then with Mr. Green in interrogation, and he is reminding him that, like, you can't gamble. Like, you even playing the slots in like a convenience store is like against your like is like
Yeah.
breaking.
He must have some like settlement in some court case.
Yeah.
Like they talk about like a black book and the gambling board or whatever.
Yeah.
In the scene, but like presumably there's the legal ramification comes from some sort of judge driven criminal charge.
And so Jim Brass is like, you can't gamble anymore because you cheated and you got brought up on some charge. And he's like, I didn't cheat. Like, I beat the casinos. Like, that's what they were upset about. It's not that I cheated. It's just like I beat them. And he's like, oh. They shift the focus over to his son. And he's like, my son is a good boy. Stop looking at my son for anything to do with these, like, murders. He goes, stop looking at my son. Stop looking at me. Start looking at Sam. Sam, who he just said 2 minutes ago that he didn't know who he was.
Yes.
But now suddenly he remembers who he is. We cut to Nick. He's at...
They made an introduction in the waiting room.
They did, yeah. We cut to Nick at a dumpster. A gun was found, and this dumpster happens to be at Seth's dorm. And the officer, or one of the officers standing there with Nick, is like, man, that gun is a relic. Like, that is an old gun.
Shirt.
In a bloody shirt, yeah, because that's gonna play a very big part in this episode. Nick test fires the gun, gives the fired bullet to Warwick. He matches it to one of the rounds pulled from one of the victims. But both of them are like, this doesn't make sense. Like, Seth is like essentially this genius who like concocted this like crazy scheme to be able to like beat the roulette wheel. Why? They don't seem as a killer. Like these kills were personal. This was like this wasn't like, oh, I fired from like 200 yards away and it's very impersonal. This is like you had to like step right up to them.
A good way to say it. Like, it's a very cold-blooded murder.
Like professional.
Yeah. And
they're just like, like, I don't really see him being like a hitman. Like, if he's going to kill somebody, like, this seems pretty cold and pretty personal. And then they're also realizing, because there was like 2 different like brands of bullets that were used.
Yeah. 2 different ammunition types.
Yes. Yeah.
Same caliber or whatever.
Same caliber. Yeah. But just different
manufacturers.
Yes. And they're realizing that Davis Mullen, the body in the apartment, was shot first. And they're like, wait a second. This does not make sense now. Like, the timeline doesn't make sense. Because if Braun was to be the one to do it, it only makes sense that Braun would kill the person he caught cheating his casino first and then go after his partner. Not go after the partner first and then go after the person.
They do this based on like the order of the rounds in the chamber from the spent casings.
Yeah. Greg Sanders is with Grissom, and he's letting him know that the blood on the bloody shirt belongs to Davis, the victim in the apartment, and the epithelials are Seth's. And so Braun, this is like another confirmation that Braun is innocent. Right? Here's bloody shirt, has the victim's blood on it, but it has Seth's skin cells, and the gun was found in it.
Although, ironically, that only makes Braun innocent if you think the kid killed.
Yes.
Right. If you think because if the evidence were, say, planted, spoiler alert, Braun could equally plant the same evidence.
Very true.
Right.
Very true. Yep. But Warwick goes to talk to Seth in his cell, and he's like, hey, and why? I mean, I guess it's spoiler alert, it ends up working out for him. But when your first line is, my lawyer says I shouldn't talk to you, just stop. Just that bit should be it.
I also think that it's arguably illegal if you have had a lawyer in the point of representation to then go talk to the victim without the lawyer present.
Yeah. And Warwick's like, no, just talk to me, man. Like, I'm here to help you.
I mean,
he was, but that's not.
But doesn't mean you should do it.
Yeah. So he starts talking when, again, probably shouldn't. But he explains to Warwick that he was at the casino. He saw his buddy get like taken to the back room. He went back to the apartment. He found Davis. He like freaks out. That's how he got blood on his shirt, is because he like went down to like check his buddy and was like, oh God, he's dead. And so then he went to his dad's place and gave his bloody shirt to his dad, because his dad was like, take your shirt off, leave it here, like I'll get rid of it. And Warwick is like, are you trying to tell me that like your dad set you up? And he doesn't say yes, but he does say that like all he wanted was his dad to like him, but he never could be his dad. Like, he was never going to be like his dad, but he just wanted his dad to like him. So then Warwick and Grissom are searching Mr. Green's place, because now they're like, wait a second. But they're like, he probably expected us. He probably cleaned up. But they find a key to one of the other apartments, and they're like, wait a second. So they go to
With
this
white paint on it.
with white paint on it. So they go to this empty apartment. Look at that. The paint that's being used to paint this apartment is that Sherman-Williams Navajo white paint. And then, for reasons that make no sense to me, the bag of money is just essentially in open view. Like, it's in a closet, but the closet doors are open.
Yeah. So there's two things to mention here. One, I just assumed they opened the closet door. You're saying the closet door was already open.
I think it was already open.
I just assumed Brass opened the door, like they're searching the apartment. There's two things to mention here. This is not the $400,000 bag of money, because as we mentioned,
No, this is a 50,000 from.
This is a bunch of other money that they name off a bunch of casinos they earned while they were perfecting and testing out.
Yes,
which is something Seth kind of talks about earlier.
Yeah, when he's being
so that's
interrogated.
where, like, that guy who had already split off got the money, and then he had it in his room, and then presumably, I forget his name, Seth's father,
Mr. Green.
He when he killed, well, you're supposed to, at this point we're basically being told, okay, it wasn't Seth, it was his dad. So, like, they took the money and he hid it in here because he expected the police to search his apartment.
Yep.
It's like all of that makes sense, but I don't know what the door was necessarily open. I just assumed that Brass opened it, because that would be kind of dumb for him to just leave the door open.
I feel like it was open, but listeners, let us know, because I'm not probably going to go back and watch it. But
no.
And also on the bag is smears of paint and blood. So they're like, well, this is starting to tie everything together. So as Nick mentions, this leads us to what I think we're supposed to believe is what actually happened. So we get like a flashback to the murders, and we have Mr. Green going to the apartment, killing Davis. Well, he gets a call from Teddy, and Teddy's like, they found us out, and they, like, pulled me into the back, and, like, what do I do? And Mr. Green's like, just wait for me, like, I'll handle this. And then he goes, kills Davis, and then goes, kills Teddy. And Work is kind of like, if they were making money, like, why would he, like, why murder them? Like, that seems a little bit strange. And they kind of land on the fact that, like, it ended up really not being about the money for Mr. Green. It was the ability for him to frame his worst enemy for murder. Like, that was a bigger prize to him than the money. It was like being able to frame Sam Braun.
Originally, the revenge was the money.
Yes.
And then the revenge became something else.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, at that time, I don't think that guy even knew that the kid didn't have any money. That he had given it back to Braun.
Yeah, he had given it back to Braun. Yeah.
Which is, they never.
Yeah, because he already killed one of them before he met up with that kid. Yeah. So
they never really explain why the kid gave the money back to Braun.
I think Braun strong-armed him into giving him the money.
Pointed a gun at it, but, like, they could have had something there, right?
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up that storyline. But before we wrap up the episode, we have Catherine walking up to Sam Braun. He's, like, standing next to his limo, like, outside of HQ, and he's kind of like, oh, like, feeling guilty, because she's like, oh, let me buy you dinner. And then, like, Seth, like, pops his head out and is like, where's the ice? And then pops back in, and Catherine's like, what? And Sam Braun is like, hey, if you want to catch a cheater, you got to hire one. Like, I always get my money's worth. I'm making it happen.
You got all your money back, dude.
Well, evidently not enough. And then this
thousands of dollars
is, in fact, the end of the episode. So, Nick, what did you think about today's episode?
So, for all of my bemoaning this episode, I actually liked the episode.
Okay.
So I gave it 4 stars.
Okay.
But I cannot, in good conscience, tell you to go rewatch this episode. I think it answered none of my questions. None of the information that I had from watching the episode once helped me follow any additional plot lines or figure something out. I don't think they earned all of the things that they did. But it was fun to watch the first time.
Yeah.
So I'll give it those 4 stars. But it's definitely just going to get a watch, because, like, this could have been a 5-star episode.
Yeah.
With a little bit of tweaks to it, especially with all of, like, the CSI plot points. I also feel like they kind of left some of that on the table, I'm assuming, for the season finale, which is the next episode. So I gave them that benefit of the doubt. But yes, it was like a great episode to watch. The first time I watched it, it was just very seamless to watch. There's a lot going on, but, like, they just didn't explain a bunch of stuff. I'd go back and be like, oh yeah, right. What about that? They never talked about that. Oh yeah, what about that? I was just like things that I had to draw a lot of assumptions, and so I didn't really enjoy watching it the second time. I watched it early this morning, and I was just like, yeah, too bad. I was really hoping to bump up my score. I was like, if this is as fun to watch the second time as the first time, this is gonna be a 4.5 or a 5-star episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And then I had a moment where I was like, do I bump this down? I was like, you know what? No, I enjoyed it the first time. We just aren't going to rewatch it.
Fair. I also give this episode a 4 out of 5, and for very similar reasons. It's actually funny. Like as we were talking about it, I was like, do I downgrade this? Because I feel like I'm talking a lot more crud about this episode than I felt when I was watching it. And then I was like, no, I'm going to leave it a 4. I think, I don't know. I liked there's like a slightly darker edge, maybe because there's like ties into like the old Vegas that I enjoyed. I liked that this was like a Vegas heavy episode. I feel like we haven't had like a man, this show is in Vegas sort of episode in a while, and it felt nice to be like, yes, this is CSI Las Vegas. Like this is in Vegas.
Let me remind you.
I know, single storyline. I know.
But they did a great job with it. I just think it's almost a shame they didn't do a better job.
Yeah. And I like that they like introduced the killer kind of early on, but not in like an obvious way at all. Like you're literally like, oh, this is some like throwaway, like, oh, he's just letting them into the apartment. And then like to have him actually like be weaved into the story. I'm like, I like that. Like that was a fun.
Good reveal. Also, the actor who played that character did a banger job.
He did really good. He was very good. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, everyone was involved in the case. We finally came back around to this like promotion deal that kind of like ties Nick and Sarah and Grissom together. And, you know, so there's, you know, get a little bit of like story development personally going on. So yeah, 4 out of 5, give it a watch. Similar Nick, like I do think that this is an episode, like I think it could have been higher if things didn't fall apart a little bit on the second watch through. There's definitely the second watch where you're kind of like, ooh, yeah, that probably wasn't handled the best.
Why is Grissom calling a phone with his toes, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's, you know,
it's like there was a point to that, and because it's like it's hard because it's one plot line. You had time. You just had to figure it out.
You just had to figure it out.
And that's the difference between really like a really good episode and like that's why it's so hard to get to 4.5, 5 stars.
Yeah. No, I agree. So yeah, 4 out of 5, decent episode. Give it a watch. Rewatch might make you not like it as much. So just stick with a singular watch. But we'll see if we rate our next episode any higher when we return next week with the season finale, season 4, episode 23, Bloodlines. But otherwise, we'll talk to you then.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.